He was a dreamer from Orange, New Jersey, and a father, a husband, a brother, and an artist chasing his purpose through music. But on a quiet Sunday morning in 2016, that dream was cut short. A man loved by everyone, gone without warning. And to this day, no one knows why. The unsolved murder of Tushon Jones. You're watching Real Crime Pulse. If you believe every story deserves justice, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. Why? Because the truth should never be forgotten. Tushon Jones grew up in Orange, New Jersey, a small township where neighbors knew one another by name and family ties ran deep. From an early age, Tushon was drawn to rhythm, creativity, and sound. Music was not just a pastime, it was his passion and purpose. Inspired by legends like Jay-Z and Lil Wayne, he often imagined himself building beats, writing lyrics, and producing records that could one day reach the world. Those who knew him recall that he carried an infectious enthusiasm for his craft, always talking about music as if it were a calling rather than a dream. His upbringing in Orange shaped his grounded, family-oriented character. Tushon shared a close bond with his sister, Titeyana Jones, who would later describe him as both a brother and a guide. Their relationship was built on laughter, loyalty, and mutual admiration. When not surrounded by music, Tushon spent his time with his father, whose lessons about right and wrong helped mold his sense of discipline and respect. He valued his family deeply, often helping his parents with daily tasks and showing his appreciation through small acts of service. Childhood for Tushon was filled with warmth and simplicity. He loved watching the sitcom Martin on Fox, laughing at its humor and repeating lines with his siblings. Together with his brother Kareem, he made prank calls, innocent fun that reflected his playful spirit. At home, he was known as dependable and kind-hearted, the type of son who could be counted on to help without being asked. As Tushon grew older, these early experiences built the foundation for his adult life. His creativity, loyalty, and compassion shaped every decision he made, both personally and professionally. This was a young man whose optimism was matched only by his determination. Before tragedy entered the picture, Tushon Jones was a symbol of youthful ambition, a talented dreamer from Orange, New Jersey, whose journey had only just begun. At the heart of Tushon Jones's life was his family, and no relationship defined him more than the one he shared with his sister, Titeyana Jones. Their connection went beyond the ordinary bond between siblings. It was rooted in trust, admiration, and an unwavering sense of loyalty. From childhood to adulthood, Tushon and Titeyana remained inseparable. They spent countless hours together, talking, laughing, and sharing their dreams for the future. Those who knew them often mistook their closeness for something even deeper. Many people assumed Titeyana was his daughter because of the way Tushon looked out for her, protective, patient, and always ready to listen. He was her confidant, her teacher, and her greatest supporter. When life presented challenges, Titeyana could always count on her brother to help her through them. In her own words, "There is nothing I could have needed or wanted that I couldn't have gone to my brother for." Tushon's commitment to family was not limited to his sister. He was the kind of person who believed in responsibility and care. Whether helping his parents with chores, offering advice, or simply being present, he made sure everyone around him felt supported. His actions spoke louder than words. He showed love through consistency, compassion, and reliability. Within the Jones household, that dedication created an atmosphere of warmth and stability. Family gatherings were filled with laughter and lighthearted teasing, often led by Tushon's sense of humor. His presence brought balance to the home, grounding those around him with kindness and maturity. For Titeyana, her brother became not just a family member, but a role model. She admired the way he carried himself, with confidence, humility, and respect for others. The bond they shared became a defining part of her identity, one that would stay with her long after his death. This period of closeness and love paints a picture of the world the Jones family knew before tragedy struck, a family united by devotion, a brother who embodied care and leadership, and a sister whose life was forever changed by his guidance and love. As Tushon Jones entered adulthood, his passion for music transformed from a youthful dream into a determined pursuit. Growing up in Orange, New Jersey, he had always envisioned himself making a mark in the world of hip-hop. And that vision began to take shape when he decided to take his craft seriously. His creativity, once expressed through notebooks filled with lyrics and beats made for fun, evolved into a professional ambition that defined his early adult life. Seeking new opportunities, Tushon spent time in Pennsylvania, where he and a few close friends converted a simple shed into a recording studio. What began as a modest setup soon became a creative hub. The shed echoed with late-night sessions, experimentation, and collaboration. For Tushon, it was more than a workspace, it was a symbol of persistence. Even with limited resources, he refused to let circumstances limit his goals. His commitment to creating music was unwavering, and that dedication would soon propel him forward. Over the years, Tushon's skill as both a rapper and producer grew. He became known for his innovative approach to sound and his relentless work ethic. By the time of his death, Tushon had achieved what many only dream of. He owned 2 recording studios and operated under his own independent label. His reputation as a talented producer began to reach beyond local circles, leading to collaborations with a few celebrity clients who recognized his potential. These achievements reflected not just his talent, but also his entrepreneurial mindset and refusal to give up. Beyond his career, Tushon's vibrant personality and sense of style set him apart. Standing 5 feet 5 inches tall, he carried himself with quiet confidence. Every detail of his appearance, from his hair to his shoes, reflected his pride and self-assurance. He was known for being personable, approachable, and deeply respectful of others, traits that made people feel comfortable around him. Outside the studio, Tushon found joy in his hobbies and love for animals. Over the years, he owned several pets, including birds, piranhas, snakes, and a pit bull. These interests revealed his curiosity and nurturing nature. Through his journey from a young dreamer in Orange to a respected producer and business owner, Tushon II Jones embodied persistence, creativity, and vision. His story was one of progress built through hard work, a man determined to create something meaningful for his family and his community. Beyond his music and ambition, Tushon II Jones was defined by the love he carried for his family. As a husband and father of 3, he devoted himself fully to creating a home filled with warmth, laughter, and learning. The same sense of loyalty that guided his bond with his sister and parents now shaped his role as a family man. He took pride in being a protector, a value passed down from his father who had taught him that family always came first. At home, Tushon was more than just a provider. He was a teacher and mentor. He made time for his children, teaching them lessons that extended beyond the classroom. Whether it was helping with reading and writing or offering advice about life, Tushon used every opportunity to guide them. One of the most memorable moments recalled by those close to the family was when he taught his son how to ride a bike. Patient and encouraging, he ran beside him until the boy pedaled on his own. That same patience carried over to another passion they shared: music. Tushon began teaching his son how to use his recording studio, passing down not only his technical skills but also his creative spirit. His dedication to family also extended to his wife. Despite his growing workload and commitments to his studios, Tushon always made time for her. He believed in keeping love alive through simple but meaningful gestures. Date nights in New York became a cherished routine, moments when the two could escape the noise of daily life and enjoy each other's company. For Tushon, these evenings were reminders of what truly mattered: the balance between ambition and affection. In every role he played, husband, father, mentor, Tushon's sense of purpose was evident. He wanted to ensure that his children grew up with the same moral grounding that had shaped him. His home was not just a place to live. It was a space built on trust, laughter, and unconditional love. By understanding the man behind the music, viewers can see that Tushon's greatest success was not measured in fame or fortune, but in family. His story reminds us that his life's true legacy lies in the love he gave, the lessons he shared, and the family that continues to carry his spirit forward. February 28, 2016, began like any other Sunday in East Orange, New Jersey. The morning carried a calm that felt ordinary, a quiet day in a neighborhood where life followed familiar routines. For Tushon Tu Jones and his family, there was nothing unusual about that day. The rhythm of their household moved as it always did, with the easy comfort of a family used to each other's presence. No one could have anticipated that within hours everything would change. That afternoon, Tushon's teenage daughter returned home from a trip to the mall. She entered the house expecting to find her father nearby, perhaps in his studio or relaxing after a long week of work. From where she stood in the laundry room, she noticed his jacket draped over a chair, a sight that usually meant he was home. Through the open hallway door, she caught a glimpse of him on the floor. At first, it seemed like nothing out of the ordinary. Then she stepped closer. In a moment that would stay with her forever, she realized something was terribly wrong. Her father wasn't moving. The reality of what she saw began to take hold. Tushon Tu Jones was lying motionless on the floor, unresponsive. Panic filled the house as calls for help followed, but it was already too late. When authorities arrived, they confirmed what no one wanted to believe. Tushon had been shot multiple times. He was pronounced dead at the scene. The home that had once echoed with music and laughter was now filled with silence. The family's protector, mentor, and source of joy was gone. Police began their investigation, but what they found was as devastating as it was confusing. There were no witnesses, no clear signs of forced entry, no evidence pointing to a suspect. For a man so deeply connected to his community, the absence of answers was haunting. As the hours turned into days, questions replaced hope. How could such a tragedy happen inside his own home? Why would anyone target a man known for his kindness and generosity? Those questions, even 9 years later, remain unanswered. The murder of Tushon Tu Jones marked a turning point not only for his family, but for everyone who knew him. His death left a void that could not be filled and a mystery that continues to hang over East Orange. The pain of that moment, the suddenness, the confusion, the disbelief became an enduring shadow over the lives of those who loved him. This section stands as the emotional center of Tushon's story, the abrupt and senseless loss of a man whose life was defined by love, creativity, and devotion. On that quiet Sunday in February, a promising life ended, and the silence that followed has yet to be broken. The days following Tushon Tu Jones's death were filled with disbelief. The house that once rang with laughter and music was now silent, visited only by family members who could barely speak through their grief. For his sister, Titeyana, the loss was almost impossible to comprehend. She had grown up looking to Tushon not just as an older brother, but as a protector and friend. His death shattered that sense of safety forever. At the funeral, the air was thick with sorrow. Friends, relatives, and members of the East Orange community filled the chapel, many still struggling to accept that the man they had known for his bright smile and generous heart was gone. Amid the flowers and quiet sobs, Titeyana stood before her brother's casket, the moment when reality finally set in. Through tears, she said words that would echo long after that day. "When I saw him in the casket, I broke into pieces." Those words captured not only her own pain, but the collective grief of an entire family. In that instant, the finality of his loss became undeniable. A man so full of life who had inspired others through his music and love for his children now lay still. His dreams cut short, his presence irreplaceable. In the months that followed, grief began to reshape Titeyana's life. The warmth and openness she once shared with others grew colder. "I started pushing people away," she would later admit, describing how loss and unanswered questions built walls around her heart. She no longer trusted easily, and the world that once felt secure now seemed uncertain and fragile. For Tushon's wife and children, each day became a quiet battle to move forward. His absence was felt in the smallest things. An empty chair at the dinner table, a song left unfinished in his home studio, a child waiting for a father's voice that would never return. The community, too, felt the impact. Tushon had been more than a musician. He was a neighbor, a mentor, and a friend. His death left an unhealed wound across East Orange, a reminder of how violence can take even the most loved among us without warning. Nearly a decade later, the pain remains. Justice has not come and closure feels distant. Yet the family continues to hold on to his memory, through stories, music, and love, keeping alive the spirit of a man who meant everything to them. Time has moved forward, but for the Jones family, the loss of Tushon Tu Jones remains an open wound that never truly healed. Each year, When February 28th returns, it brings both sorrow and strength, a day of remembrance that keeps his spirit alive within those who loved him most. At Rosedale Rose Hill Cemetery in New Jersey, the Jones family gathers quietly. They bring flowers, speak softly to his resting place, and share memories that once filled their home with laughter. It's not just a ritual, it's a promise that Tushon will never be forgotten, that his light will continue to shine through the people he touched. For his sister Titeyana, that day is sacred. While others gather, she often chooses solitude, a private time to reconnect with her brother in her own way. She drives to a familiar open space, clutching a few balloons. Each one represents a message, a prayer, a piece of her heart. When she releases them into the sky, she watches until they disappear, imagining they've reached him. "It's my way of talking to him," she once said. "He might be gone, but our bond never left." That annual act has become a symbol for the family, a gesture of love that defies time and distance. Even years later, their memories of Tushon remain vivid. His children, now older, speak of his laughter, his lessons, and the way he made them feel safe. His music still plays in the background of family gatherings, a reminder of the passion that once fueled his dreams. In the East Orange community, his name is still spoken with respect. Friends remember him not for how he died, but for how he lived, with creativity, humor, and an unwavering love for the people around him. His story continues to inspire young artists who, like him, dream of using music to build something meaningful. As the documentary closes, the tone shifts from sorrow to reflection. Over slow, quiet music, the screen fades to images of family photos, home videos, and city lights, echoes of a life full of love and purpose. Tushon 2. Jones's story ends not in tragedy, but in remembrance. He may no longer walk among his loved ones, but his spirit, his laughter, his kindness, his music lives on. And through the hearts of those who carry his memory, Tushon's legacy continues to shine. Tushon 2 Jones lived for love, for family, and for music. His story is one of dreams, of dedication, and of a loss that still echoes through time. Somewhere out there, the truth remains waiting to be found. If you believe his story deserves justice, share this video and subscribe to Real Crime Pulse, because every voice, every memory, and every truth deserves to be heard.